Okay, so what should we talk about today? Something a little different. Fitting mortise locks. So this is what a mortise lock would look like. This is the type of ideas. This is what they call a sash lock. This is a type of lock that has a handle with it as well as a key. And this is what they call a deadlock, which just has a key. And they both come in these variants. This is a Euro type cylinder. So in this type of lock, we'd have a cylinder like this inside the lock. And this just has a key that goes in. So yeah, these are mortise locks, and basically we'd have, if say this was the edge of the door, you'd create an aperture or a mortise in the end of the door that the lock would slide into, and then you would cut in what they call the face plate. This is the face plate that fits on the front of the lock, and then you'd cut a recess out for that, so the lock so when the lock's in the door, it would be finishing flush with the edge of the door. So how can we do that? Well, there's a couple of ways we can do that. You know, traditionally it would be done by hand. So you'd drill out a mortise at the end of the door, and then chisel out around the recess for the forend, which is quite straightforward and easy to do. But say you've got a dozen of these things lined up, you've got to do, you're working a job, you've got 20 locks, the mortise locks to fit. To doing each one by hand can take a little bit of time. So modern technology, we bring out what they call jigs, which makes things slightly, speeds up the process, because the repeatability of these things, you can do it over and over again very fastly with machinery. There's other ideas, a couple of tools of that. You can make jigs yourself. I've done that in the past, made my own type. Suba make a nice tool that clamps on the door and uses a drill to do the mortising and recessing for you. But because I've got some of a carpentry background as well, I was always used to using routers. So one of the ways that I always used to fit locks, especially if I had to fit a large number of them, would be with a router. So I've got a router jig for using a router, and I've got like a little portable router. It's quite fun. I thought you might like to see it. So I've got this box here. This is a box that I made up to keep them in, so they don't come inside a box, which to me, I start losing all the bits and pieces and starts to becoming a bit of a pain. So I made up this little box to keep the bits and pieces in, so I know where everything is. So you open the lid of the box, and the way I've arranged it, in the lid I've got myself some notes over here to remind me what bushes and cutters I need to use for each area. This is the instructions that tell you which plate to use when you're doing stuff, which I'll go through with you in a second. And inside we've got the main pieces. This is two pieces, so we've got the jig itself for doing the mortising and the face plates, and then we've got the Euro recess hole if you want to use that as well. So basically how this jig works is made by Trend. It's very, very straightforward. So this is just a lock jig from Gend, and it literally just sits on the face of the door, and you tighten these knobs and it's on the end of the door. You've got centre markings here, you've got markings on the side to show you can line it up on the door, which, like, you know, where you want to do it, and you just basically clamp this straight to the door. This is set up at the minute for a 44mm door, which is like, you know, one of the most common sizes we use. You got 44 and 54, and most of the tops, the domestic type of locks I do at the moment, which is just 44mm. So literally that you just line that up with your markings, and you just clamp it straight onto the door. Really, really simple. And then after you've done that, you've just got a box full of plates. And let me get these these plates out. And then you just literally got these plates here that snap into the jig. Now these plates are numbered. They've got numbers and letters on them. You can see the numbers and letters, and they literally correspond with, you know, this form. You'll select the plate type that you want, and this tells you the aperture size it's going to make. And then put something. So I've got here, like, so if I select plate 5, that's for any RA, so I know straight away that works out for. So it's quite straightforward. And you've got two types of plates. You've got one that will cut the mortise, so that's the part that you're making for this part of the body, so it will slide completely in the door. And then you've got the one for the face plate, which then does a smaller recess to put the face plate on the end of the door. And literally you just put them on and snap them in. That's it. Run your router around until you've created the aperture you want, and then you take that out and you replace it for the face plate. Change your depths, and same procedure again. Really, really straightforward. I mean, you can't get any easier than that. Literally clamp it to the door and snap these in for the size you need. Really easy, really nice, like it, and it's come in very handy for me in the past. So that's the mortise inside of it. Now, obviously, if you're going to create a keyhole for this type of lock, you just mark your keyhole out, make your keyhole, put the lock in, test it all works, job done. When it comes to the Euro holes, I mean, obviously you can cut these out by hand, and again, they can take a little bit of time to get them just right. But I also have this trend jig as well, which is set up for making the Euro hole as well as the handle hole. So there's the part here. As you look on the lock, this would be for the spindle if you're going to use it. Obviously, if it doesn't have this side and it's just a deadlock, you're only going to cut the Euro. And if it's got a handle, he can do both. Again, this can make things, especially if you're on site doing things like bathroom doors and stuff, you know, this can make this a lot faster. So again, this just has got some adjustments on it, up and down, and you literally hook this on the side of the door, put a clamp on it, and then just run the route around to make your apertures. Really straightforward, really easy, and then it all fits in this little box, which is nice and neat and job done, and you know, ready for when I want it for the next job. So I thought you might find it interesting. Cheers.